Hey, what's up, mortals? It's Miggy Sawdust here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 5 of What If Deku Was Trained by Aizawa. Just wanted to greet you all by just saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. Let's get started. The students of Class 1A slowly trickled out of the class and headed towards the training fields of UA. Changing out of their regular uniforms, the students all walked out into the field in their gym uniforms, with Izuku arriving first and some small boy with purple balls on his head arriving last. The class all stood at the base of the training field near a cement circle. Midoriya, you got the highest score in the entrance exam. Aizawa paused mid-sentence, throwing a baseball at Izuku who caught it without a hitch, while Bakugo scoffed when he heard that Izuku scored the highest in the entrance exam. Stand on the circle and throw it. You're free to use your own quirk. Aizawa spoke promptly, and Izuku nodded, although he was slightly confused when Aizawa mentioned that he could use his quirk. Despite that, Izuku walked onto the cement circle and readied himself to throw the ball, gazing drowsily down at it before extending his arm out behind him and swinging it as hard as he could. A few moments later, a soft ding sounded from Aizawa's pants pocket, and he reached into it, pulling out some device with a number on it. Nice, 45 meters. Aizawa looked up at Izuku, who had a smile on his face. Some of the students had an impressed look on their faces, while the others looked confused. One girl in particular raised her hand. Aizawa-sensei? What does this have to do with our orientation? The girl tilted her head, while some of the other students made comments mentioning their confusion as well. I'm glad you asked, Aizawa said with a grin that some would consider creepy. You won't be doing orientation. Instead, you'll be doing a quirk-based assessment that will measure your worth. Izuku's eyes widened after Aizawa's last few words, and he immediately knew what was going to happen next. So are we going to the orientation later? The small boy with a grapevine for a hairline spoke, stuttering all the way through due to the intimidation of Aizawa. No, you will not. Now focus on what I'm saying. Aizawa spoke in an irritated tone, and the whole class quieted down, despite many of them having objections. For this test, as clearly conveyed in the name, you'll all be doing quirk-related tasks, or more specifically, you'll be doing physical activities while using your quirk to perform better. Some of the students began to whisper again. But instead of complaining about the exercise, they were excited. Some of them even began to cheer. This is gonna be fun! An abnormally pink girl with horns cheered, annoying Aizawa in the process. Other students agreed while fist pumping in the air, which visibly annoyed Aizawa even more, which prompted Izuku to facepalm. Fine, if you're not going to take this seriously, then let's add consequences. Whoever comes last will be deemed as unworthy and will be expelled on the spot. Aizawa didn't raise his voice once, but his intimidating glare as well as his tone caused the class to go quiet again. But that's not fair, we just got here, the brunette from earlier said, causing other students to agree. Yeah, how are we supposed to get a chance to prove ourselves if we get expelled on the first day? This caused Izuku to facepalm again, and before the students could say anything further, he decided to speak up. Life isn't fair, guys. If a villain were to show up right here, right now, I doubt anyone here, besides Aizawa-sensei, that explosive psycho over there. Izuku paused, pointing his thumb over his back and behind him to Bakugo, who became annoyed due to the comment. And maybe I could take them on. Izuku then pointed to himself, giving all his classmates other than Kaminari and the brunette an immediate bad impression of himself. If anything, you should be happy that your dreams get cut short before it's too late, because if you get expelled now, you still stand a chance of starting your life and applying for other schools. Although Izuku wasn't sure that he could actually defeat the villains that were shown on TV, like that one sludge villain All Might defeated a few months back, the words of dreams being cut short really hit deep, and his words conveyed that. Aizawa, on the other hand, stood there impressed. Normally he would have intervened, but seeing as how his protege managed to get the whole class to go quiet, made him feel a sense of ease. Regardless, he still wasn't impressed with all the students' remarks, including Izuku's, even if he had good intentions. That's right. Life isn't fair. And after Midoriya's explanation, I'm sure you guys can understand what's going on. Aizawa then commenced the quirk assessment test. The tests were simple: side steps, squats, 100-meter sprints, and so on. Izuku performed average in all of them, besides the students whose quirks specialized in the different activities. Izuku always performed better than most of his classmates, showing the fruits of his training. He was surprised when he saw the purple-haired boy using his quirk to bounce from side to side in the sidestep test, but ultimately felt bad for the boy due to his small and weak stature. That Midoriya sure was confident in his abilities earlier, but he's not once scored first in any of the physical activities other than the push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. A somewhat taller girl with long black hair that looked more dignified than the others spoke. I think I saw a few strands of hair falling to the ground, the pink girl added on, which prompted Kaminari to reply, "Hey, don't say that. It's not like he's going to go bald just from exercising. Anyway, Midoriya is very physically capable, and his confidence is well placed. After all, he saved my hide in the entrance exam," Kaminari said, scratching the back of his head. At that moment, they were all standing and watching Izuku run the 100 meters, while Bakugo just blasted through it, not even touching the ground once. "Yeah, he saved me from being crushed by the zero-pointer," the brunette chimed in, her cheeks going from pink to a minor red as her thoughts traced back to exactly how Izuku had saved her. This helped with the current bad impression the other students had on Izuku, which also began to stem with his similar characteristics from their teacher. Later, the class stood in the crowd in front of a hologram that listed the results of each student from best to worst. I'm disappointed. This video was sponsored by Honey. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, Safari. If it's a browser, it has Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on sites like Amazon, Papa John's, and Kohl's. Wherever you shop, it's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out at these big sites is click that little orange button, and it'll scan the entire internet and find you discount codes. It takes 2 clicks to install Honey. Now, anytime you check out, Honey will scan the whole internet and find coupon codes for you. If there's a coupon code, they will find it. And if there's not a coupon code, you can rest assured that you're getting the best price possible. If you install Honey right now, you can save so much money on your online shopping doing nothing. There's no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks. 10 million people use it, 100,000 5-star reviews. Unless you hate money, you should install Honey. Use the link in the description to start saving money now. The whole class was dumbfounded by Aizawa's words, Izuku included. But I tried my hardest! The purple-haired boy, whose name was revealed to be Mineta, bawling his eyes out after he saw the results. "How could you say that?" the pink-haired girl exclaimed. "It's not like anyone could be last or should be last." The girl said, causing all the other students besides Izuku and Bakugo, who remained silent, to agree. "Not just in him, but in half of you," Aizawa said in a harsh tone. Izuku, realizing what was going on yet again, he, despite being quirkless, got 9th on the scoreboard, meaning 11 of the students with quirks scored lower than him. What? The girl wanted to continue talking, but was cut short by Aizawa. Midoriya stepped forward. Izuku did as his teacher had told him, and stepped out in front of the students. "You said that it wasn't like nobody could get last, and that last spot wasn't meant for anyone," Aizawa asked rhetorically. But the pink-haired girl nodded anyway. "Remember how you guys said that this test isn't fair? Well, as Izuku Midoriya, the first quirkless student to ever pass the entrance exam over here, said, life isn't fair." The whole class went silent besides Mineta, who was quietly sobbing. Izuku's face went pale after being called out like that in front of his entire class. He had never discussed with his teacher if his being quirkless would remain a secret to his classmates, but now the answer to that conversation to be was clear. Some of the students wanted to speak in their defense, but couldn't come up with anything. In this world, if a quirkless person who has to put in all the extra effort can outperform you, who has been born with a quirk, an easy way into the system, so to speak, then you do not deserve to be in UA. Aizawa spoke in a cold and brash tone. Turning his gaze to Mineta specifically, he spoke again. Minetta, pack your bags and go to the principal's office. I'm afraid your time here is done. The rest of you, go get changed. You've got the rest of the day ahead of you. The girl who had previously called out Izuku, whose name was Momo, had a face that was whiter than the rest of her classmates, coupled with a baffled expression. Sometime later during the school day, Class 1A was in between subjects and waiting for their teacher to arrive. Momo, who was sitting in the frontmost row of the class, spoke loud enough for the entire class to hear her. I don't suppose you all thought that Aizawa-sensei was bluffing too, right? This caught the attention of everyone in the classroom. Nope, I thought my life depended on my performance the entire way through. Kaminari said, eyeing the seat that was once occupied by Minetta. I didn't think once he was bluffing. He looked so serious, and if anything, I feel like Midoriya might have saved another student from being expelled when he spoke up, Uraraka said, eyeing Izuku for a moment before turning her gaze to Momo again. Speaking of, I know today was a bit gloomy, but can we just take a moment to think of how hard Midoriya must have worked to get here? Mina said in an enthusiastic tone, which picked up the mood. Most of the students turned to ask Midoriya questions, but unfortunately for them, he was sleeping on his arms. Bakugo, in the meantime, who was 2 seats in front of Izuku, scoffed and spoke up. That quirkless brat should have gone to law school. There's no way he'll become a hero at that pace. Some of the students found this unnerving, so they decided to respond. How so? He was able to do a lot better than most of us without a quirk, Uraraka protested, with some of the other students chiming in, but Bakugo just scoffed again. Please! What's a hyper-intelligent athlete like Deku gonna do against the likes of me? Someone with just as much brains and an explosive quirk! Although he didn't completely show it, Bakugo had respect for Izuku. However, he was not bluffing. Oh, please, he has some moves to go with that physical prowess as well. I saw it firsthand, Kaminari protested. However, despite supporting and having mad respect for Izuku due to their first encounter, even he knew deep down that if Bakugo, that bi-colored teen that had stayed quiet the entire time, or even he, for that matter, used their quirks to their full potential, Izuku wouldn't stand a chance. I wouldn't be so sure, Yaoyorozu spoke up again, directing the class's attention to her. Izuku is yet to be in his prime, and remember, every hero has support items to help them in their endeavor. Some of the students nodded, but Bakugo just shook his head. So what if he has those? There's only so much a quirkless brat like him can do. Bakugo reiterated his point, and Yaoyorozu nodded. The whole class knew that he wouldn't be able to keep up, no matter what he did. At least not with the likes of Bakugo. Hold on, why do you keep calling him a quirkless brat? Mina asked, prompting the whole class to look at Bakugo. Yeah, it's not cool, dude, Kirishima added. I agree, I'm sure he has enough hardships as it is being quirkless. He doesn't need you calling it out every other sentence involving him. Kaminari's addition to it caused Bakugo to abruptly stand up. Why are you all defending him? I know you were all thinking that it's his fault that the grape-haired boy got expelled. Bakugo raised his voice, which caused Izuku to wake up. Gotcha, not now. Go bother someone else. Raising his head slightly, Izuku spoke the words before lowering his head again. Has he been awake this entire time? A frog-like girl who had remained somewhat silent during the entire conversation said, causing some of the students to go pale. I hope not, Kirishima said softly. I believe that we should drop this conversation immediately. A boy with blue hair and glasses stood up, moving his arms in a robot-like manner. The teacher will arrive soon, and the last thing we need is a first bad impression. And with that, the conversation came to a close, and the rest of the day progressed like normal. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed that. Before you leave, we'd just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today, so goodbye and have a divine day.